Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Well. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today is an auspicious day. Today is a day dedicated to the health and well-being. As health is wealth, today is also dedicated to prosperity and a lot more. Today is commemorated and celebrated and worshipped as Varalakshmi Vratam or Varamahalakshmi Vratam, where the Lakshmi is the mother of all, goddess, and Vara means the boons, the boon giver, boon gifter, who gives us various boons and fulfills our wishes. So the mother of wishes, wish fulfillers, and the goddess of fortune or the goddess of wealth, the goddess of prosperity. Today is Lakshmi Puja, also known as Varamahalakshmi Vratam or Lakshmi Vratam. So there are various names and it slightly varies from region to region based on local cultural traditions, local cultures and traditions and practices. But it is celebrated widely across the world by Hindus especially and other religions also in different forms. As we see on the Sanatana Dharma, which is the oldest way of living, and if we see Hinduism being the oldest of the religions ever existed, even before it is termed as religion, unless and until other religion came and they want to discriminate or differentiate. That's how Hinduism as a word has emerged. Otherwise, it was known as Sanatana Dharma. That is way of life for everyone on the planet, not only just for human beings, but for everyone. Every species is guided by the universal principles and nature laws. and it varies from species to species based on its functions and capabilities. That's how basically for all the universal laws are same. We have to exist together in harmony, in peace, in coexistence, fostering the ecosystems, biodiversity, and health and well-being of this nature, environment, and fellow species. And based on the species, each species, there are different set of laws, which may be more or less appropriate because humans, also known as social animals, they are in the higher order as humans have evolved over a period of time and have the cognitive process and many other faculties that has developed and has been superior to other species. But at the same time, this has been a double-edged sword. As we know, there is always two sides of the coin. One side is a good thing for which humans are been contributing. The other side is the disasters that humans are creating. But at what cost? The cost of their own survival, at the cost of nature, at the cost of environment, at the cost of planet. So, Sanatana Dharma has paved way and laid a foundation in the form of traditions and practices to safeguard and protect all the species on the planet, and also nature, flora, fauna, environment, biodiversity in the form of festivals. You can see Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma or whatever name you call it, have extensive festivals. Every day is a festival. Every day is a celebration. Every day is a day for expressing our gratitude. Every day is a Thanksgiving day to the nature, to the environment, to one or more species which are part of our ecosystem, which are part of our biodiversity, and which are also fellow species like human species on the planet. So these various festivals, especially, why we are not celebrating festivals? That is the reason we are getting closer to disasters. When we do not respect each other, what happens? We start to abuse, we start to differentiate, we start to discriminate, we start to exploit, and so many things follows. Unless and until we respect each other, unless and until we value each other, and unless and until we feel, that we are also dependent on the other species on planet, and also in eternity, space. Unless and until we realize, which our ancestors have very much realized and always was in harmony. And any disasters was a control mechanism in the nature to control the population of one or more species. to balance the food chain, to balance the species so that no species gets overpopulated and starts dominating each other. In the past, we have seen few species have tried to dominate, and that paved way to extinction. Because nature has its own control mechanisms to control. And that's why there is a saying also, the abnormal growth and development is always inevitable. But whatever comes as an abnormal growth or a development that is destructive development, not sustainable development, always leads to disasters. The same way, whatever is rising very fast, whatever is growing very fast, it may be a tree, it may be a human being, it may be any species on the planet, it may be any religion, or it may be any belief system, or anything that grows very fastly, that is leading to the destruction, that is on the way to its own destruction. It has set its path to destruction. So now we see anything, even you also, what happens if only just our one of the limbs grows and other limb is like that? Can you imagine? Right hand is same not growing and left hand is growing very fast. What will happen? Or left leg is not growing and right leg is growing very fast, lengthier. What will happen? Imagine, there is no balance. Now, how would you stand? How would you walk? How would you run? So it is very important to have a balance in ecosystem, balance in nature and balance within ourselves, balance in community, whatever it may be. It may be anything. It may be religion, it may be a belief system, or it may be a species that is growing too much beyond the bearing capacity of the planet. Today, humans are outgrowing beyond the bearing capacity of the planet. That is leading to destruction. Now, how we are going to address these issues? How we are going to address various challenges is nothing, because the same science, the same thing we cannot use, which we have used for destruction or disasters, cannot be used for making again. So we need an alternative approach, or we need a previous approach, which was sustainable development, where we cared for the future generations as well, along with us. See what our parents always do. They don't consume everything in a day. They keep some for tomorrow, for next week, for next month, for next year. They keep saving things. They keep saving various commodities, various food grains, because they think about the future. Today we can eat. We can eat everything we have, everything we can buy, or everything we can procure. But what we will do tomorrow? Tomorrow, if there is nothing to eat, you are going to die. Right? Today, you have something to do. Tomorrow, if you don't have anything to do, what you will do? So in a similar way, the greed of the human beings have crossed its limits. and in the path of destruction. So what we can do now, very simple, to be on the path of sustainable development. That is, go back to our roots, start celebrating the ancient festivals, rituals with the present context. Now, some has become redundant. So it doesn't mean that you have to blindly follow what was there at that time, because situations change, environments change, facilities change, infrastructure change. Earlier, there was no electricity. Earlier, there were no, this kind of gas or other alternative fuel system for cooking or transport. So over the period of time, there were certain developments which made certain rituals, certain practices absolute. But still, there is many things beyond the scope of science. Today, science is not able to answer many questions. Science is not able to provide solutions. Today, there is no cure for many diseases, including malaria, which are quite common, except to avoid mosquito bites. And of course, we are trying to modify the genes of the mosquito so that it doesn't become the carrier or the host for the virus. But we don't know what is going to happen. Maybe because that virus is also having or struggling for its existence. So it will also find some other way to survive. Now, if the virus also starts mutating, that is what happens in the nature. Not everything can be controlled as we can control in the lab. So things keep changing, especially when something is happening, when we are trying to manipulate in a natural environment. There are a lot of things which we do not understand, or we cannot observe, or which are beyond our scope of understanding. And there is no scope for observing them, but they keep happening. And this genetic mutation also can lead to some other problem, or it might bring some other new virus, which can be more lethal and deadly. So all these, because we have seen today genetically modified foods, they are becoming more resistant to pests, and pests are also becoming more resistant to the fertilizers, to the plants, and they are also evolving. Their genes are also changing. They are also mutating. And today we are eating a lot of genetic modified fruits, vegetables, and other food grains, and all things. And that are in turn changing our DNA, RNA. And that is also, we are also getting modified through our various lifestyle practices. Now, with all these things, what is the way out? The only way out is go back to ancient traditional knowledge systems. And from that, learn, take out the wisdom and apply to the present context. So we are talking about sustainable development. It is not sustainable development did not come with the United Nations, or did not, is not a new concept. Sustainable development is there since before even UN has formed, or this Millennium Development Goals has come, or in 2015 SDGs have come. Sustainable development is as old as Sanatana Dharma. That's why the planet has been able to sustain so much long. It could provide all the needs of all species. But when the development took destructive development, when development is not for the need, but it has become for the need, that's where the problem started. and we started exploiting resources, both artificial and natural, and we have exploited resources, overused, underused, and misused resources, and also which are very limited in nature, and abused the natural resources, natural infrastructure. And then today we are leaving ourselves more vulnerable to these disasters. So with this context, now what is the way out is only to go back to ancient practices and try to be conscious of what is happening, be mindful of what is happening, and contribute, minimize the pollution waste generated by each individual, and also ensure that whatever you are doing, whatever you are practicing, whatever you are teaching, preaching, it is sustainable, it is contributing, it is catering to your needs along with catering to others' needs. It's not that only you benefit and others all suffer. This is what the present development models are. And today we are paying for that in the form of climate change, in the form of pollution, and in various forms. So only thing we can do now is value our natural resources. It is only possible when, these natural resources, the nature, environment, and the planet, and also the celestial bodies are imbibed with divinity or with a proper understanding of them. So we cannot understand completely about the universe, about everything around us with our limited capacities. So the way around was only to imbibe divinity in them, so that they are valued, they are protected, they are conserved, and they are promoted for future generations. That's what, Sanatana Dharma has been doing. That's what Hinduism was doing. Promoting nature, conservation, protection, promotion, and sustainable development of nature, natural resources, planet, and all other species, flora, fauna of the planet, and also celestial bodies. That's why if we take, there are people who criticize about astrology or Vastu. The present day modern architecture is all Vastu. All principles are drawn from it. Now today, we are ashamed. We means not everyone, but some so-called the scientific community, because again there we also come into it. So that's why helplessly I'm saying we, because though very few people do not deny this fact, but still being part of educated community or scientific community or whatever we call, we are ourselves creating a lot of damage. Especially you take astrology, which is part of Vedanga, which is now presently mostly, present astronomy is influenced from and drawn various things from astrology, which has, astronomy also emerged from astrology. Because those are the sciences. There was no astronomy earlier. That was part of ancient knowledge and, of this astrology, because astrology deals with all the celestial objects. After finding all these telescopes and all other things, people has agreed that there are 8 planets or 9 planets or whatever it is. But even before, when there were no telescopes or no spacecrafts or anything, satellites, our ancient sages have traveled, have taken cosmic travel and have explored the Milky Ways, galaxies, and various solar systems like ours. They visited various planets and calculated the distance and everything. Today we have even many Upanishads, even Hanuman Chalisa, and you take any ancient scripture that gives account of various aspects of things. Like Hanuman Chalisa gives the distance between the earth and moon, earth and sun. And many other Vedic scriptures give account of everything. Today we are still discovering, still inventing, but all are there in that if we try to understand. But what we are doing, we are getting away with that. And because of that, we are losing the ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge systems. So why we are talking about is, through festivals, through cultures, cultural practices, traditions, we are protecting our nature, our biodiversity, our ecosystems, and flora, fauna through these festivals. We are promoting generations to generations. So that's why it is very important. No matter what religion you belong to, what occupation you belong to, what gender you belong to, what caste, creed, race, ethnicity you belong to, that doesn't matter. These festivals are universal and has to be supported, has to be celebrated by everyone on the planet, every human being on the planet. Unless and until this kind of conscious comes to every human being, things are not going to change, because that is where we were deviated. And today the deviation has increased beyond the scope and we are entirely in a wrong path, or a wrong direction. So these days, especially, why we were talking is we are doing a lot of commemorations. What is that? We are trying to talk about various practices that has evolved over a period of time, which have very little evidence, but these are more than thousands and thousands of years which have been time tested and still remain valid even today. So today, as per the almanac, that is calendar, today, Friday, that is Shravana Masa, is a very powerful month for worshipping goddess and one of the most important vratas or pujas. It is also known as King of Vratas, which is performed during this month for goddess Sri Varamahalakshmi or goddess Lakshmi, also called as Varalakshmi Puja or Vrat. Generally, this day falls on the Friday, the Shukla Paksha, that is waxing moon phase of Shravana Mas, that is Shravana month, each year, and is celebrated across the world by Hindus and other religions. And it is quite popular in South India, especially Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and so on, so forth. And this vrat or ritual is observed with great fervor and passion as Mahalakshmi Vrat in the northern states of India, such as Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh, and so on. Almost every part of the world, celebrates it in one or different name or form. We have seen Goddess Varmahalakshmi or Lakshmi or Varlakshmi is the divine source of energy, wisdom, prosperity, courage, fertility, and a lot more, and is worshipped during this today's ritual or Varlakshmi Vrat by both men and women to receive her abundant blessings for the self and family and for all at large. So performing this Varlakshmi Vrat or Puja is said to be equivalent in worshipping all the 8 different forms of Goddess Lakshmi. It is believed that the following benefits are acquired by performing this puja or ritual, that is dhanam, that is monetary benefits, dhanyam, that is food and grains, arogyam, that is good health and well-being, sampat, that is wealth and prosperity, santanam, that is virtuous offsprings, progeny, and dirgha sumangali bhagyam, that means longevity of husband or spouse or wife would be enhanced, and viram, that is courage, and also free from debts. So especially, though everyone celebrates, it is more prominent for married women. They observe fasting during this day